So how do you create a second speaker setup on your TD-AI 3400? Well, it's actually fairly easy. I'm in the web interface here where you do all your setup, and I tap on setup and then of course on output setup. And what you can see here is that I already had a setup with the Q100 speakers, but maybe I would like a second speaker setup. And you can see there's a button down here saying Add Second Speaker Setup, and I press on that. And now it's thinking about that. And now you can see here you get the option to use the speaker setup guide, or you can just press cancel if you want to. And that's what I'm going to do. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. So now I have here the setup page for the second speaker setup. And here I will do a setup for speakers that are not Lyngdorf speakers. So I start with the main output speakers here. And here you can see there's a lot of Lyngdorf presets. There's a standard stereo and there's a custom. And because I'm so complicated, I will use custom. And yes, I think I want some subwoofers, and I want 2 custom subwoofers. Now you can choose whether the custom subwoofers should be on the analog or the digital output. Most of you use the analog, so that's what I'm going to do also. And now you have to do some choices for your speakers. Of course, when you have a subwoofer, you would want a crossover, like you have it here. And yes, you will also want a high-pass filter. But now the complicated thing starts, because what filter to choose and what slope. And you can see here it defaults to Butterworth second order, but I may choose something else if I want to. I think I'll choose the Linkwitz-Riley fourth order. And the frequency, 80 Hertz. Why not? Let's say 90. Now you can also enter the distances for main speakers. That's the same as with Lyngdorf, so I'll jump that. And the low-pass filter, I'll choose the same topology, Linkwitz-Riley fourth order. And the frequency should also be the same. So now you have actually made your custom setup with 2 subwoofers and a crossover at 90 Hertz, Linkwitz-Riley fourth order filters. Down here you have the settings that you also have with Lyngdorf speakers, the distance to each speaker, and the amplifier delay in the subwoofer. If the subwoofer has digital filters or limiters, there will be a processing delay in the sub. You have to get that from the sub manufacturer. But that could be anything from 0 to about 12 to 15 milliseconds. You put that value in there. My subwoofers are so perfect they don't have that, so I leave that at 0. So now you have actually created your second speaker setup. So if I go back to the home and go down here, you can now see on the front page here that you have the choice between first speaker setup and second speaker setup. If I press on the first speaker setup, it will change. It takes a few seconds. But then we are back, and you can see that if I go to output setup, I have my Q speaker setup again. Whereas if I change back to second speaker setup, again, it's thinking about it for a couple of seconds. And now if I go to speaker setup, I have the one with the crossover that I just created. Now, If I dislike this second speaker setup or just don't want it anymore, I have a delete button here. Delete second speaker setup. I'll do that because I really don't need it. Now it will automatically switch back to the first speaker setup. With the cues, and you can see that on the home page, the speaker setup choice has gone again.